What is up, guys? You got Not the Worst here, bringing you a money guide or can you make money guide or whatever on Tshira ruins. I did a few videos on these before with some uncommon areas or slightly uncommon Cadre Hex Sanctuary, and decided we'll kind of flesh it out, and I'll actually bust out the old Excel spreadsheets and kind of see each individual items and what kind of averages we get. So I grinded out here for 20 hours straight. Well, not straight, it wasn't in one sitting, it was in a few sittings. But I grinded out here for 20 hours and then logged each item drop that I was getting for it, and what I used specifically doing it. So, yeah, first things first, if you're not familiar with where Tshira Ruins is, it is in Sherekan, out near the Duvenkroon area. So you can see here's the main town up here, or down here rather. Tshira Ruins is located right there. If I scroll out a little bit, you can see Heidel way up here. So you're working out right here. So that's where the spot is. As far as what you have available to you, this does have Marnie stones with right at the node manager here. You have a convenient little Marnie bro chilling right here, so you can change in stones and buy them if you need to right on the spot. There is also a Marnie dude in the Duvenkroon town as well, so you can buy them before you head out once you've prepped up. The node manager does have daily missions for you that are right here. There's 4 of them that are repeatable you can do every day. It does tack on a little bit of extra silver, gives you some of that residue stuff, and then some spirit dust as well. Just kind of extra stuff if you're going to be grinding out here anyways, that kind of helps out. As far as what kind of AP you want to have for this area, it is recommended to have 140 AP for this area, as you can see on the map. You need more than that. You probably want to be 170 to 180 really to be efficient here. For it, you want to make sure you're one killing the mobs as you're burning through them. You don't really want to have to spend any amount of time as well in them as far as that goes. So I'm going to show you the rotations. This place is a little bit unique in that it does have rotations, but there's a couple people on this server, so we might switch while we're doing this guide video if I need to. But the rotations here aren't as important as other places. That's what makes it a little bit unique. And what I mean by that is the mobs are so dense and in where they are and then kind of everywhere that you can honestly really grind around other people pretty successfully. While I was doing the 20 hours, I only encountered 2 of them did I actually have any amount of PvP, which slowed our trash loot per hour just a little bit, not too bad. But there were plenty of hours where there were other people kind of technically grinding in my rotation, and we didn't really bother each other, and it actually didn't slow me down whatsoever because of the way this place is designed. So let me run through real quick and show you the rotation. If you already know the rotations and you are just interested in the money loot that is coming up right after I show this, so just skip on ahead in the video if you don't need this portion of it. But anyway, the one I like to run is, you could call, I guess, the right rotation. There's kind of a left and right. I'm going to not attack their mobs just because there's already guys grinding out here. They might be doing a guild quest, but at any rate, you can see if you follow on the mini map is kind of where you want to be looking at, this area right up here. And you kind of just run through here. I would get these mobs, work this little area is pretty dense here, not run into a tree. Oh, something else too, you follow this way around, mobs here, mobs here, mobs here. There are a lot of little like fence posts and like pieces of sidewalks all the way through this area, so every once in a while you kind of run into them and get a little stuck if you're not paying attention. So that's something to keep in mind if you're someone who grinds while you're, watching TV or doing something else too. So you can go through here, all these mobs down in here, and then right when you start getting up here, your mobs are going to start to respawn by the time you come out of that little dip. That guy kind of cleared out some mobs, but these have a bunch of groups right here. So you can kind of work up this way to where everywhere here's cleared here, and then even into this corner if you want to go up this far. All the way to the last top left corner right here is about as far in as you want to go. It's probably a little too far because the mobs will have all respawned. But this could be the corner where you start to circle back. You have this little circle of mobs here. Yeah, they're probably doing a guild quest. And then there's mobs that are spawning right here as well, all the way up into this area, and you're right back where you started. So that's a nice little rotation there. That's my personal favorite just because you stay directly in front of the node manager and where you keep your mount. So your horse is over there if you want to stack him up with items while you're doing it. Definitely always try to get that one if you can. This place is not very busy, hardly ever, so I really didn't have much issue with finding a server that I could just keep to myself. As far as the left side rotation, again, you can see how there's just mobs everywhere. You don't have to stick to what's a rotation in these anyways. You can kind of just go around, and every time you see a pack of mobs, just kill it and you'll be totally fine. But at any rate, this dips down a little bit ways down here, and you got packs of mobs here, and you basically do the same thing. You make a circle around on the left hand side. The only reason I didn't like this spot as much as the other one, you're a little further from the node manager, and 2, when you get a little bit further, they space these guys out a little bit more than they do in the other area, so that gets a little bit annoying when you're killing those. But you just arc around this little circle dealy here. Mobs, mobs, mobs. You get the idea. Same idea. So there's your left-hand circle. I don't think I ever used this. I maybe dabbled into these groups on the left-hand side a couple of times, maybe when I ran into another guy or two that was grinding, just so that I kept my kills per hour up. So you can do that. You don't have to. You can pretty easily get yourself a right side, which is overall a little bit better. There are a couple more spaces further down, a little further out, that you can kind of make your own rotation with. Like I said, this place is pretty neat just in the sense that it's pretty open as far as, you know, what kind of zones you want to use and where you want to go, since the mobs are so densely packed in there. Other things that I wanted to mention for it was things I always had Kama Blessing up at all times when I was here. So Blessing at Kama Sylve, so I had that item drop increase for sure the whole time. Second thing, I have 5 tier 3 pets. Keep on agile loot to get the best loot I could possible. So obviously if you have better pets or worse pets, you can expect different results from that as well. And I did have tier 9 node by the time I was done, but the first, I'd say 5 hours or so, I had tier 8 node. So I went from 8 to 9 during the course of it. I actually started pushing it into 10 until I realized I wasn't going to hit 10 before I finished my 20 hours. And I wasn't too sure about if I was going to be coming back here anytime until I kind of saw the results of that 20. So anyhow, you get the kind of the idea of the spacings there. You have a lot of options as far as how you want to grind, speed area there. As far as buffs, I did food buffs in general. I did have a book of combat that was, they gave out some one-day book of combats, so I did have those. I had book of combat up the entire time thanks to those items there. Which I want to mention, and my ecology amount gives me 7% increased drop. Oh, sorry, 5% increased drop rate. So not very much in ecology personally. So you can get a little bit better results from what you see there. Next thing I want to note before I pull up what our loot tables looked like, grind speed for this, I was pretty much always watching Netflix or doing something else or whatever, some anime or something on the second screen, or watching a stream or something like that. So keep that in mind too. You'll see them in the trash, it'll kind of point out a few hours where I did kind of just straight grind up and paid attention, and others where I was a bit distracted, and some with PvP as well, which obviously affect it. So let me pull this guy up here real quick. Here's the breakdown of what we got in Tshira Ruins. I didn't count silver in these at all, just because the silver pretty much washed out with the cost for Marnie stones and repairing your gear, so it was kind of irrelevant in there. I was finding around 1 million silver for every 2-hour segment that I was out there, give or take a bit, but again, pretty irrelevant when you're just dumping through Marnie stones and getting as much as you can. So things to look at here that are kind of interesting. You'll see that my first ring drop, which is the Eye of Ruins, which is a 75 mil drop, I got one in literally my 20th hour, the very last hour. And when I was going into this, I was pretty convinced, because I didn't have a single ring drop the entire time, the 75 mil ring, that I was going to just continue grinding this area until I got a ring drop. I was going to go over 20 hours at that point, just so that I could kind of say when we were doing the video, like, oh yeah, by the way, I finally got a ring drop at hour 21 or 22 or something like that. And while I was already thinking that, I literally got this drop within the first pack of mobs that I killed in hour 20. And then the next pack of mobs right after that, I also got a crystal drop in the same hours. It was within the same 5 minutes. It was absolutely ridiculous. So it made this hour super high. So if you look at my overall average, it's 36.61. When you take this one crazy high hour out of it, it was about 33 without this particular hour added in. So overall, what I was doing in trash loot, I came out averaging about 6,500 trash loot. You can see in the last hour I had 7k. I did hit 8k, 7,300 a few times. These ones marked with stars, hours 5 and hours 10. I had PvP, so you can see that kind of impacted my trash loot, despite the hour being pretty good because I got a crystal drop from there. Same in hour 5 as well. My trash loot was much lower from there. So they did fluctuate a bit. When I really did try, it was anywhere from 73, 8,000, stuff like this. When I was kind of just straight paying attention to doing it, you can see my residue is through the roof in that hour as well for it. So let's kind of look at each hour and see what your breakdown was as far as averages. Averaging a little over 3 Garmoth scales per hour. This was a little wonky. Overall, this place is pretty RNG heavy for what you get, and it's kind of difficult to take a segment where you only do a couple of hours and then try and make a judgment for what your average is, just because it's so very, very swingy up and down what the total average amount is. Sometimes it's very, very high, as you can see with that 121, although that one was exceptionally uncommon. But you could see my very first hour here at 48 mil was because we got a crystal drop. These guys are 24 mil a piece on the crystals. You can get the Gervish or the Macalod crystals that drop here. Each of those drop here, and I did get one in my very first hour, which caused it to go very high. And then in other hours, you can see it's just completely bad. It was basically off my trash loot and some dragon scales. So anyways, a little over 3 Garma scales per hour, averaging a little over 9 Dragon scales, which I thought was really good, by the way. And then after comparing to some other eras in Dragon, because of this mob density and how easy the mobs to kill are, this is probably the best place for Dragon scales if you're looking to get those. These sell at 500 mil a piece each, or you can save up 30 of them and get a free Advice of Valk's 20 stack, which is pretty nice as well. 0.4 crystal per hour, so I wasn't necessarily getting 1 per hour, it was a little over that. So the thing is to keep in mind, if you look at how this worked though, it was 1 0 0 0 0 0 for a long time, and then 3 hours in a row I get 1, and then 0, and then I got 2 in this same hour, and then a big old chunk of zeros again, and then 1 1. So imagine if you came to this place and you're like, I want to check how this is out, and you just had a subsection of, like, let's say these hours right here. You're going to look at it, average these 5 hours right here, and just decide this place is terrible, which it is, because you didn't get a single crystal drop. You're at 20 mil. You can get 20 mil at almost any spot in the game. Just off the trash loot and blackstone drops and things like that. So this is why we kind of wanted to get a little bit more data than I could to get a little bit larger spread. We had a little bit of swing in the upper RNG to keep it moving. Caphras was, I expected it to be 2 to 3 per hour. It was right a little bit below 2, so that was about what I expected. Dust I actually expected to be higher, 6.6, a little over 6, between 6 and 7 an hour. Stones even out at exactly 6 per hour, but I want to point out again, this was pretty swingy in RNG. You can see a lot of upper 9s, 8s, 12, and a 10 early on, 9 here, and things like that, and then evening out with lower ones, 2, only 1 drop that hour, which is kind of sad. We already talked about trash loot. Pedal drop, I mean, these are world drops, so it's just kind of the same at any spot you go to, but they are worth 500k. If you are actually selling all these items. Residue, these don't have actual value themselves, you can't sell them, but these are for the Dragon Slayer weapon, which can be repaired with this residue instead of with memory fragments, which can be really important for fail stacking, or if you're trying to get the weapon initially, you need a whole bunch of residue to be able to craft it initially. So I did want to at least kind of include it so you have kind of an idea, if that's something you're looking for, how good is this place to grind, to build up residue. And in all honesty, it's one of the best spots in the game to grind residue, since Dregan gives much more than any other place, and the mob density is very high here, and very, very low amount. Again, the ring, we had 1 out of 20 hours. I don't know if that's exceptionally low for 20 hours, but I can tell you the first 19 hours did not feel amazing, knowing that there's a 75 mil drop that you could get, and I was not getting it. But definitely getting that back to back with a crystal right after in the last hour was kind of the saving grace. Did feel pretty good overall. Aside from that, like I said, this is a Marnie Stone space, so you can do a whole lot of Marnie Stone farming here pretty easily, since the mobs die. Super simple. Super simple mobs to kill. I didn't clock individual XP, but this was all that I had grinded in the time. So I gained a total at 14.6% in the 20 hours straight at Tshira Ruins. Only there. I did not kill a single mob anywhere else while I was doing this. But as far as how much boost was using that, like I said, I did have a Book of Combat active the whole time. There were some bells, which I didn't track, but I had at least 4 or 5 bells that were on, different portions of bells throughout the time, and I did use 3 or 4 200% XP boost from the daily boost as well. So keep that in mind if you're talking XP. It is a really nice place. This averages out to about 0.73 per hour. So it is really, really nice, almost on par with Naga's as far as that goes. And the fact that you have some opportunity to drop these 75 mil rings, or even more realistically, you have a decent opportunity to drop these 24 mil crystals. That's really where your upper end of RNG is going to be. This guy's almost mythical, although I guess it could even drop prior duo, which would just be absolutely insane, but we're not going to see anything like that. So that kind of gives you an idea of what you can expect if you want to do there. Other things that I wanted to note for it was the storage for it. I really didn't have to use my storage maids like at all for this. Since your horse is right here, or if park him up by the node manager, it's really easy to go back to him, overstack your horse, and not have to worry too much about it. One thing I did want to point out that makes it nice is you can see the trash loot are 2 types that drop. Okay, this one I didn't even count in the equations because you're not going to get very many of these. I think every 2 hours was about 400. It was like 200 per hour, so I didn't include them in the statistic at all. But what's important to know is, since there's only 2 trash loot items here, you can easily keep your weight managed pretty nicely by dumping these on your horse every time you're close to max weight. Every 20 minutes or so is about what I was doing, give or take a bit depending on how much I was paying attention or PvP. So you dump those on the horse, jump back over, get right back into grinding. It was pretty easy there. I didn't have to use my storage maids hardly at all. Of course, you could use them if you didn't want to run back to the horse or didn't need to at all from there. And other than that, just final thoughts on it. This spot in general kind of surprised me. I didn't expect the kind of results we actually ended up getting looking at the sheet. I was expecting this to be a lot lower just because this place was super hyped up when Dregan first came out, and it hasn't been hyped up hardly at all or even really used very much since then. I see people come out for a little bit, do a guild quest, knock it out, and then they move on. Nobody's really grinding this that hard, and that also shows with the ring drop being so terribly low and this place not having a soiled ring option like Crescents. Or like even soiled ogre rings, you know, it just doesn't have a soiled option to it. Really makes this ring super, super rare to get, which is why they're not all over the market. There have hardly been that many sold considering how long Dregan's out, but nobody's farming here. If you ask me, I think this spot's kind of a sleeper spot in general. It's pretty good XP, right up there with Nagas in my opinion, and more importantly, your upper end for money making, since Nagas isn't known for money making, just kind of black stones and maybe a scroll once every blue moon over there. You know, this place is a pretty good alternative to that if you're not looking to stack up scrolls. This does also keep in mind that you're selling every item that you get. I didn't actually sell every item myself. The Garmoth scales I didn't need anymore because I have a stack of these guys already. So I've been selling these at max price. They do sell at max price, no problem. I kept all of the dragon scales. I have hundreds of these things now between this and the, you can see in my tab, I'm keeping track of Blood Wolf is what the next video is going to be. Spoiler alert. Yeah, so I've been working on Blood Wolf already. With those, I did sell the crystals, I kept all the Caphras, I kept the dust, I kept my stones, I kept my petals and residues, whatever. So, and I actually held on to that ring. I haven't listed it or sold it yet. So there's that. That's if you kind of sell everything, which you don't have to do, what kind of liquid silver you can expect for it. Aside from that, I'm doing this again. I'm already, I think, 5 or 6 hours into Blood Wolf Settlement, so I'll do another breakdown for that as well. And anyone interested in the Dagger Drop event that's been going since it started, I've had 15 hours since the Dagger Drop event came out. I've had 13 daggers drop, so it's been, at times it's stuck right around 1 per hour, and other times it's dipped a little bit lower than that. So yeah, that's where that's at. Anyways, let me know what you guys thought of the video. Be sure to like it if this helped you out, or if you're going to try out Shira Runes yourself after seeing this and think you might give it a shot. I honestly really enjoy grinding this spot. I kind of liked it, and when I went to Blood Wolf for the first hour or two, I missed Shira Runes. It's kind of growing on me now at Blood Wolf, so I do like this spot in general. I may even grind here as I continue to push to 62 a bit more after I finish the Blood Wolf video. Moving forward, we'll just kind of see how it goes and what I'm feeling. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments, and be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already so that you catch in when our latest videos go up. That Blood Wolf one will probably be about a week from now, just depending, and then of course we'll do patch notes videos and all the normal stuff throughout the rest of the week. So that is going to be it for this video. Everybody, thank you for watching. I do apologize, my voice is a bit off. I'm still just getting over this sickness I had all weekend, but hopefully it was not completely terrible, or as some would say, it was not the worst. Alright, cool. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.